Guys, the One Piece live action season 2 is out. And yes, it's just as great as everybody is saying it is. Unless you check Twitter, in which case you'll see a bunch of salty purists. See, Twitter is known as an incredibly toxic place. So of course, if you go on there, everybody is completely hating on it. But also, people whose primary social media is Twitter are barely people anyway, so we don't count them. Over here on YouTube, meanwhile, we have people singing the show's praises. Every episode of the season has a rating of 8.5 or higher on IMDb, with the last two being in the high 9s. And in general, it's just so amazing to see an interpretation of what the One Piece world is. Not a one-to-one. Nobody wants that. But I'm not here to just do an overall review of why the One Piece live action is so good, no. See, I knew I was gonna cover the series, but I needed to figure out how. And that's how I needed y'all's help. So what I'm gonna do is 4 videos, each reviewing 2 episodes. And with that, this is gonna be batch 1, reviewing episodes 1 and 2 of the One Piece live action season 2. But before we get into the review, y'all, please, I need y'all to do something for me. Like the video, okay? That is incredibly important. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel. We just hit 3,000 and I'm so happy about that. But of course, we're not just gonna stop here. We're always building that community. And in that bid, share it around with all your friends who love anime and manga. So starting us off, we got episode 1's opening scene. And y'all, this was crazy. Of course, this is where Baroque Works was actually attacking the Shellstown base. And of course, it makes so much sense for Robin and Baroque Works to appear here because they're chasing the lead of Mr. Seven, who, to their last piece of knowledge, was brought here to Shellstown. See, in season 1, it seemed like the scene was just a throwaway one to hype up Zoro, but now we're seeing that it actually has consequence. Tie that into the fact that even in season 1, Garp was already saying that Baroque Works, those are the shadows we've been chasing for a long time. I don't know if they planned this out all the way back then, but even if they didn't, this connection works so well and it's gonna tie into the B plot. But of course, we get the first look at Robin's powers and y'all, they look phenomenal. Like, it's legitimately so beautiful, the flower petals, and then seeing the CGI of the hands are working really well. And I know people were complaining about, oh, why is Robin killing people? That's against her character. Y'all, she is literally an assassin. That was her job. We know that Robin has killed people before, so I don't think it's that crazy for them to show it. And of course, she appears alongside Mr. Five and Miss Valentine, whose powers we don't see in this episode just yet. But it's the fact that the 3 of them have been dispatched all the way this far into the East Blue. We then transition into the Straw Hats. Now granted, we did see part of this scene as like an early teaser type of thing, but still, I really love the dynamic that they got going on. Did y'all notice the Doskoi panda on Sanji's shirt? What about Nami passively eating tangerines? Because obviously we know her Mikan trees. But y'all, right now I need to give props to Jacob Romero Gibson, because this guy as Usopp is perfect. I like this Usopp better than the Usopp we got in the actual story. And again, in this whole scene, you just see the crew coming together, and I just really do like seeing it. Sanji in relation to Nami is a lot more suave and cool, trying to like almost play up the chivalry charm, as opposed to in the show when it's just clearly head over heels. Sanji and Zoro's bickering and back and forth is perfect. Nami already knowing how to hook Luffy around her little finger, like, well, I know you want to see that scaffolding, don't you? And then at the end when Nami's like, and you thought we were gonna skip Logtown. I wonder if that's a subtle fourth wall jab here. Specifically to the critics who were like, oh, they're just gonna skip Logtown because they think it's not important. Well, now what do you have to say? Then we get a flashback to the day that Roger died. And we actually see Garp's meeting with Roger, which this happening this early is also very interesting. Because remember, in the actual story, we didn't see this until the beginning of Marineford. But also, y'all, God Valley mentioned this early? And Roger's like, oh, the hero of God Valley, which I mean, I guess makes sense because we even saw the God Valley commemoration flyers or something like that around town. But I love the fact that, of course, because we just know a lot of future information that has bearings on the past, the live action is able to use that now. Also, Roger coughing like that and then the quick pan to Garp looking at him, really great way to set up Roger's illness and that being the reason why he turned himself in. And then when Roger says, you know, I trust you as if you were one of my crew, that's actually pretty ironic. Only because in one of the recent God Valley chapters, we literally have Roger being like, well, obviously after we see this demon emu that you work for, you're clearly gonna leave the government, right? So come work with me. Then we have the Straw Hats actually arriving on Logtown. First of all, Nami being frugal with the money was frying me. That interaction was hilarious. Zoro was like, I need some money to buy swords. And she was like, how is that my problem? Also, seeing Dragon spy just like in the midst of people. Wouldn't somebody notice him? Because isn't he like the most famous criminal in the world? So that's something that I would be like, I'll take that part out. But y'all, then we finally get Smoker pulling up. And y'all, when he pulled up on the Billower bike, I don't think I've seen something cooler in live action. It's probably not true, but I'm also not thinking of any right now, so I'm gonna just go with it. And now I'm sorry, he looks tough. He looks like Smoker did. Then also for context, we have this Yes Pirate dude that Smoker captured. He is actually a character in the series as been mentioned. But see, what happened there is that the Yes Pirates Captain Billy was actually captured by Smoker, and his subordinates Cozy and Packy tried to get revenge on Tashigi, but she easily beat them up. Here we have a slight difference, but because it's such a negligible character, it doesn't matter. But y'all, seeing Bartolomeo this early fried me, because what the hell is he doing here? And before people type angrily, I know he's supposed to be here. But of course, this is seeding for the fact that in Dressrosa, we find out that the reason Bartolomeo actually idolizes Luffy on the Straw Hat so much is because he was there when the random bolt of lightning saved Luffy's life. Did anybody else notice Usopp getting his signature sniping goggles off of a girl who actually wanted to buy them? This was frying me. But then also the portrayal of the Usopp and Nami dynamic, especially as the two of them being the more normal members compared to the craziness that the others be getting into. And then the Zoro and Tashigi scene was also really good because you have Zoro just being like, I'm not lost. I know exactly where I'm going. And that's like a really great way to tie in his ridiculous I get lost gag without making it too explicit. I feel like if they had gone too heavy, like I need to go that way and then he just turned around, that wouldn't be believable for this medium. Which then leads to the Zoro shop scene, which was also really good. First of all, Ippon Matsu funny as hell because why is he a scammer? I like how Tashigi being so into swords actually played into the Meito system and explaining it. And then of course you have the infamous Sandai Kitetsu throw, and y'all, that was shot really well. The way that it like curved over his arm, and you know what? Props to them. I like that. The Luffy Sanji duo when they were going to buy food, that was also really strong. They threw in the bluefin elephant tuna, and also the fact that Baratier bought it out, which means that Zeph actually liked it so much when Sanji made it. And of course would never tell him to his face, but it just goes to show the care that they really built into this world. Sanji tells Luffy, yo, stay here. I'm gonna be right back. But we know that Luffy not staying there. They're also doing something new with the Usopp Kaya situation, which I like. Because you have Usopp almost sounding like a man going off to war as he's just on the phone being like, yeah, you know, this is what's going on. I'm kind of nervous, but I gotta go chase my dream. Then we also have the Nami and Bart scene, which is also really interesting because was Nami trying to seduce him? And I guess at this point I'll talk about my feelings about Bart, which is just really interesting to me. But it's not just that he's here, it's the fact that he's being integrated in such a way. And then the sequence of events just really flows well. Because you have Nami trying to help him target someone, which leads to him targeting Luffy, which leads to Luffy showing him how great he is, which will then eventually lead to the adoration that we see in Dressrosa. And then we cut to the circus, and y'all, Buggy's back. And I didn't get to say this back in season 1 because I wasn't making videos then, but y'all, Jeff Ward as Buggy, oh my goodness gracious. But old Shanksy, nah, that was really killing me. He plays Buggy so well. And then just the like bickering, like kind of dynamic rival feel between Luffy and Buggy when Luffy doesn't find him threatening at all. You can just tell that it's a setup for a natural team up later down the line. So you know, in 2050 when we get to Impel Down. And then Alvida waiting for her reveal too. And by the way, again, props to the actress for this. Because they said we can CGI it to make it look like, make you look smaller or like had it slipped off or whatever, but nah, she put in the work and lost the weight, which is really dope. Also like how when she was using the slip ramp or whatever, calling out her attack name as like a command to her subordinates made it still fit within the context of the world. And then we have the iconic Smoker scene in Locktown. Looks like my pants ate your ice cream. And I'm glad that they kept it and didn't change anything about it, because that is a fundamental scene for Smoker's character. Everybody thinks that he's this intimidating rah 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 kind of guy, but he's really nice deep down. Then the Tashigi Smoker dynamic is another thing that be killing me. Because Tashigi's just like, I'll do whatever it takes, sir. And he's just like, yeah, whatever. Hold up, y'all. Is the lady in the background walking a duck? Then we have Buggy in a judge costume, and y'all, again, what is wrong with this dude? However, he did have a good monologue though, I will give him that. And then of course we have the Straw Hats fighting off against the Buggy Alvida alliance. The fight is tough, but of course everything is building up to the immaculate scaffolding moment. And it's crazy because everybody who's relevant is watching right now. Bartolomeo sees Luffy as a messiah, Smoker notes his smile to be just like Roger's, and you just know that Buggy recognizes it too. And then you have the sorry, I'm dead moment. And to be fair, on this one, I don't think I would have had him laughing. Like, cause he laughed maniacally. I would have just been like, sorry, I'm dead. But y'all, the bolt of lightning that strikes at Buggy and the CGI of him splitting apart while he's like, not again, phenomenal. Then of course you have the pirates escape. Zoro versus Tashigi was very well shot, I will say that. I love the blade work and how it was like dragging across, the alleyway or whatever. But then of course you got Luffy encountering Smoker for the first time, and already he's calling him Smokey. But of course that's when we see Logia's intangibility working for the first time, and y'all, as far as the smoke effects go, it looks great. He basically one-shots Sanji with the white blow and then absolutely puts paws on Luffy. But then of course, as he's about to go for the kill, that's when you have Dragon pulling up and stopping his arm. Now I will say that Dragon sounds a bit out of place as far as he's not using colloquialisms like everybody else is. But honestly, that's a minor gripe. Also, if you're watching only the live action and you have no context for the series, it's obvious that his power is wind, because just look at the scene, especially with all the talk about devil fruits this episode. But y'all, the craziest thing that I think I saw this episode is, why is Sabo here? This is the one thing about this episode I actually really did not like, because I already see this one creating hella drama on the internet. Because the whole thing is that Sabo regained his memory when he saw Luffy and Ace in the paper after Ace's death. But now you gotta be like, so wait, Dragon has never showed Sabo a picture of Luffy or told him about anything ever. And granted, Dragon does have the mentality of, why would I do that? Because I don't want people to know that Luffy's my son. But there's no way that Dragon, who's been keeping tabs on Luffy, has never shown a picture around before. And then at the very end, we got Robin trying to recruit Tashigi into Baroque Works, which is crazy. It at least gives Tashigi more of a plot relevance, tying her into season 2, just as opposed to being Smoker's handbag. And it even takes them more naturally into Alabasta itself for season 3, and gives a valid reason for the Straw Hat Smoker team up. Yeah, y'all, I mean, episode 1, I liked it. I don't know what to say. It was a good reintroduction. With that done, we move swiftly on to episode 2, and that's all about Crocus and Laboon. We start off with Reverse Mountain, and of course, y'all, here we got Zoro's aura farming moments again. This brother just can't stop. It doesn't matter the medium. He always has to go for aura. And then I like the map drawing that Manami made, and she's just like, the safe route, I think. Then you have the scene of them actually going up and Nami barking all these orders like hoist the mizzen mast and switch the sails. And you really see, just like Grand Line Review always says, that Nami is the captain of the sea. Then we have Luffy stretching to steer, and y'all, I will say that the stretching animation for Luffy's Devil Fruit in particular looks way better this season than last season. Like, it almost reminded me of watching The Mask. It is actually really interesting considering Gear 5. So of course you have the whole rush up to Reverse Mountain with Nami leading the charge. They finally get up in one piece, which is good, and they start heading down, and that's when you have Laboon. Luffy jumps out to go and meet Laboon, and that's when the whale just completely swallows the merry whole. And when we cut back, Luffy being like, 5 more minutes to Don, is a really great shout out in my opinion to introduce kind of the character of the Don. Of course, he wasn't introduced back in season 1, but having it in our minds that, okay, this is Luffy's, I guess, parental figure. Now here we diverge a lot from the anime and the manga, because obviously our first introduction to Crocus is different. Crocus actually lives on the lighthouse in the Twin Capes as opposed to within Laboon itself. And so of course we don't have the extended comedy bit of just the back and forth panning that the anime was so iconic for. Which of course though makes sense to me, because I don't think that would work for Western audiences. People would be like, why is this, like, what's going on? It's not funny. And like I mentioned, they really changed the whole Jonah and the whale situation that Crocus had going on. Because as we see the inside of Laboon, it's just dark, dank, and a bunch of shipwrecks all around. So you have the Straw Hats who are inside thinking of, okay, what's the best way to get out? And y'all, I literally said this in a recent manga chapter, but guys, why is Zoro's only plan to cut? It's like this is the one thing that he has on his mind. Actually, that's not too far off from the case. Oda already showed us that. Then we cut back to the Marines at Logtown. Smoker and Tashigi are preparing to head out, but that's when they encounter Garp, Helmeppo, and Kobe. And to me, it's actually just interesting to see so many like Sword members and people we speculate to be involved with Sword all just here at the same time. And also, now that I think about it, I don't even think Garp and Smoker have actually had an interaction in the actual manga. And it is a bit later, but I'll talk about it now, which is the scene between Garp and Smoker talking. There's a lot really good here, because of course you have Garp talking about Baroque Works again, just like he did in season 1. Then they also plant the seeds for the whole Marines being able to coat the bottom of their vessels with sea stone, the invention that Vegapunk created, without ever mentioning who Vegapunk actually was. Then we start cutting back and forth between different groups trying to see how we're gonna get the Straw Hats out of this damn whale. So we got Crocus, and y'all, look very closely at the newspaper and what it says. Great Easter egg and foreshadowing for later on this season. But y'all, Luffy literally broke into this man's house. What is wrong with bro? Of course, you peel back the layers and it's a great show of Luffy's will. Like, I'm not just taking this, but also, that's somebody's house. Then we have the Sanji Sock group. Yeah, I'm never gonna say that again. And y'all, hold on. Has Sanji always been this afraid of ghosts? I I can't remember. And as they're looking for this one ship part, Usopp sees that it's under the arm of this dead guy. But as he goes to pry it away, that's when Mr. 9 pops up. Meanwhile, we see Zoro and Nami talking about what Zoro's plan is, and what did I tell you? The guy's plan is to cut. He said, well, this sword is too small, so now I have a bigger sword. This guy's an idiot. Y'all, he intends to cut the whale's uvula. And the fact that this brother doesn't know what a uvula is frying me, because he thinks it's part of like female genitalia. You got Zoro being like, whale's a girl. And Nami's like, no, you're dumb. And at that moment, that's when Vivi's introduced. And her peacock slasher combat is really well choreographed. And then y'all, we get the flashback to Brook. This is just crazy because we're seeing Brook as early as now, when normally in the series, we get this hundreds of chapters later, I think around Thriller Bark. We see Brook while alive, and I really like Brook's actor. This man can genuinely sing, and the laugh is so accurate too. I'm sorry, that already put it better than season 1 in my mind, just this one scene of him singing to Laboon. And then y'all end up a skeleton is so ironic, and people who don't know the series don't even know why yet. Okay, there is one thing that really did piss me off in this section, and it's the fact that the whale's crying. That was not needed. But overall, they did a really good job of explaining Laboon's backstory and why he's bashing his head against the red line. And of course, him being left in Crocus's care as the Rumbar pirates are like, we'll see you again when we come back. Then we cut back inside of the whale and we have Vivi and Mr. 9 being tied up. And first off, let me just say, Vivi, I love the sass, I love the fit, I love everything. Everyone who was trying to be racist to this poor girl, eat a bag of rocks. We got the first moss head insult, it's time. I really hope they carry this into Little Garden with the whole hunting competition thing. And I really like how them talking about Baroque works cuts into Garp and Smoker talking about them, and ties into why Robin was moving so crazy in episode 1. But then y'all, look at this. We get call cards for members of Baroque works, and this is so tough. I love the fact that they're gonna try and do something for people other than pirates. Because of course we know that pirates are gonna do stuff with their bounty posters, but even with this, it seems like they're just doing in general people who get Oda boxes. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see it happening for Marines too when we get to the really big Marines. Plus the fact that everybody gets their own stylized Jolly Roger, it's so tough. Then when Usopp was about to fall and Nami was like, Usopp, calm down. He was like, I will not. That was really funny to me. And then of course you have Vivi helping to save Usopp, which also makes a lot of sense. Because of course it sets up how we're going to be friends with Vivi later on. Then we have the whole Luffy and Laboon scene with Luffy singing to Laboon and being like, yo, it's okay, but I need my friends back. And y'all, did they put in the Nika dance? The Nika dance this early on. This is, oh, what a fantastic meal. And of course on the Marine side, you also have the sweet moment between Tashigi and Kobe, where Tashigi is like, oh, my dream doesn't matter. And Kobe, having himself just had his dream reaffirmed by Garp, being like, yo, you know, sometimes you just gotta go for it. You can't just take this line down. And then y'all, when they're all celebrating and chilling afterwards, you have Usopp being like, you know, if you really wanted to, you could probably live inside a lagoon. There's enough space in there. You could like paint it and make it look great. And that is a great allusion to the manga where that's actually what happens. So the fact that they said that actually rendered me with immense joy. Of course, Croak is giving Nami the log pose, which is very important because they didn't have one before. You got Luffy drawing the Jolly Roger on Laboon, just like in the manga. And then at the very end of the episode, we get another huge drop because Laugh Tale is name dropped this early. But of course, it wouldn't be Raftel like we used to think. But now that we know that it's Laugh Tale, they can just put that right now. So at this point, people already know Laugh Tale is the name of the island that the One Piece is on. And y'all, I'm sorry. I don't know what the haters are saying, but to me, this was phenomenal. The first 2 episodes reintroducing us, everything like that. Logtown arc all in one episode, Reverse Mountain all in one episode. And based on the trajectory of the rest of the series, it looks like what's gonna be 1 episode for Whiskey Peak, 2 for Little Garden, and a whopping 3 for Drum Kingdom. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm excited, and I hope you are too, but I won't know that unless you let me know how you feel in the comments. And of course, it is a review of 2 hours worth of content, so this video is gonna be a bit longer, but please, y'all, do something for me. And while you're at it, make sure that you like, subscribe, and share it around with all your friends. That's gonna be all for me. I'll catch you on the next batch. And always remember, one piece, one life. Now if you'll excuse me, I gotta go to the airport. I'm going to El Salvador for spring break. This is my last spring break before I never have one again.